Madam Speaker, I rise to ask question 92 of 2017. The question is directed to the Honourable Attorney-General and Minister of Economy, Public Enterprises, Civil Service and Communication. The question is, can the Minister advise this House as to why the ship D.L Marigold was denied entry into Fiji port? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Attorney-General and Minister for Economy, Public Enterprises, Civil Service and Communications, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to thank the Honourable Natani-Rika for this question. Madam Speaker, on 7th of March 2017, BAF, for the Biosecurity Authority of Fiji, had prohibited entry of Indonesian ship D.L Marigold from entry into Fijian waters due to the biosecurity risks it posed on the Fijian marine biodiversity. D.L Marigold was also ordered to leave New Zealand waters by the New Zealand Ministry of Primary Industry within 24 hours of arrival at Tauranga. The D.L Marigold had sailed into Tauranga from Indonesia on 4th of March 2017 and was due to berth in New Zealand waters for 9 days. The reason that D.L Marigold was ordered to leave New Zealand waters within 24 hours of arrival was due to the biosecurity risks the ship posed. This decision was based on evidence collected by divers that the hull and the niche areas, which is the sea chest, the propeller, shaft, etc., of the vessel was severely fouled with barnacles and tube worms. In New Zealand, non-indigenous tube worm species have had negative effects on oyster aquaculture. Accordingly, the New Zealand Ministry of Primary Industry has also notified D.L Marigold that it would not be allowed back into New Zealand until it could provide evidence that it had been cleaned to below the severe threshold. The D.L Marigold, Madam Speaker, then intended to set sail to Suva to undergo the cleaning of the foul areas, which was found infested with worms and other organisms by the New Zealand authorities. The D.L Marigold, Madam Speaker, is the first vessel which Fiji has refused entry due to bifouling. Madam Speaker, bifouling is a process where organisms accumulate on a clean surface that has been immersed in the marine environment. Vessel bifouling, Madam Speaker, is the attachment of organisms to wetted areas of a ship or boat, usually below the waterline. This can include the hull, the propeller, the bilge keel, the keel coolers, thruster, inlet gratings, end nodes, sea chests, etc. Besides from being a biosecurity risk, Madam Speaker, to the environment, bifouling can drastically reduce fuel efficiency, increase vessel output of carbon emissions, and compromise crew safety during transit. BAF was advised by the New Zealand authorities and also through other channels about D.L Marigold's aquatic, evasive and infestation status. Following this, BAF promptly notified D.L Marigold's local shipping agent, Campbell Shipping Agency, on the refusal of entry and also notified all key stakeholders of the incident, which included the Office of the Prime Minister, the Department of Environment, who are the focal point of biodiversity, Ministry of Rural Maritime Development and Natural Disaster Management, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Public Enterprise, Ministry of Agriculture, Fiji Ports Corporation Limited, Fiji Ports Terminal Limited. This was a coordinated approach, Madam Speaker, with all the stakeholders who were advised via official biosecurity notification and media release. Madam Speaker, BAF promptly acted to prevent entry of the D.L Marigold to ensure that invasive marine organisms, that is plants, animals, pathogens and diseases, did not enter Fijian waters, as this would have posed significant threats to the native biodiversity and the ecosystem. Invasive species are non-native or alien to the ecosystem under consideration, whose introduction causes, Madam Speaker, amongst other things, or can cause economic or environmental harm or harm to human health even. The introduction of invasive aquatic species to new environments by ships is a major threat to the world's oceans and to the conservation of biodiversity, Madam Speaker. Aquatic species include both aquatic plant and aquatic animal species. By recognizing the equivalence of sanitary and phytosanitary measures, Madam Speaker, BAF assesses the biosecurity risks associated with all cargo vessels entering Fijian waters before allowing them into Fiji. For the information of the members of this Parliament, Madam Speaker, sanitary and phytosanitary or SPS measures are measures to protect humans, animals and plants from diseases, pests or contaminants. It applies to all sanitary relating to animals and phytosanitary relating to plants that may have direct or indirect impact on international trade. Madam Speaker, marine species carried either in ships' ballast water or ships' hulls may survive to establish a reproductive population in the host environment, becoming invasive, outcompeting native species and multiplying into pest populations. Fiji's marine species are one of the biggest resources, and it is very important that all stakeholders have close collaboration to address the global issue of invasive alien species. BAF is committed, Madam Speaker, to preventing the introduction of invasive alien species, which would have devastating impacts on the marine biodiversity and food security of all Fijians. Invasive alien species cause enormous damage to biodiversity and the valuable natural resources. Madam Speaker, BAF is also currently in the process of negotiating a funding facility from GEF, which stands for Global Environmental Facility, through the UN system to modernize its legislation and also develop national invasive alien species framework and strategic action plans to ensure Fiji is able to address the increased global challenges such as climate change, which is one of the major contributors to the increased alien species due to global warming. Madam Speaker, GEF is a unique partnership of 18 agencies, including United Nations agencies, multilateral development banks, national entities and international NGOs, working with 183 countries to address the world's most challenging environmental issues. GEF provides funding to assist developing countries in meeting the objectives of international environmental conventions. Madam Speaker, mitigating impacts of climate change is also very important to ensure we protect our Fijian flora and fauna. And Madam Speaker, there's a number of additional information that's here, but I think that addresses the question on the floor. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are fortunate that New Zealand was the first port of entry, and Fiji being the second, and we've been warned by New Zealand in regards to that vessel. What happens whether Fiji has the capacity if Fiji was the first port of entry for such vessels?
Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker, Fiji does have the capacity, and in fact the reason why I cut my answer short because I thought we'd give the opposition more time with their motions, but I can actually elucidate further in respect of what we are doing. In fact, I had started doing that. And Madam Speaker, let me go on now. I'll tell you what we are doing. Madam Speaker, Fiji currently, Madam Speaker, as I said, GEF is providing funding to assist developing countries in meeting the objectives of international environmental conventions. GEF serves as a financial mechanism to 5 conventions, which is the Convention on Biological Diversity, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants, or POPs as it's called, UN Convention to Combat Desertification, and the Minamata Convention on Mercury. Because as you know, mercury levels are increasing in the world because of manufacturing. Madam Speaker, mitigating impacts of climate change is very important to ensure we protect our Fijian flora and fauna. Madam Speaker, Fiji has again showcased its commitment to improve its compliance level by inviting the World Organization of Animal Health, or OIE. They are currently in the country, actually we're meeting them next week on Monday, to conduct a veterinary legislative identification support mission which was conducted by OIE international consultants in November and December of 2016. BEF's diligence and commitment has been displayed again by inviting the OIE consultants for the performance of veterinary services gap analysis mission, which is currently being conducted in the country. PVS gap analysis, Madam Speaker, the mission assists in the definition of a country's veterinary services objectives in terms of compliance with OIE international standards and the quality of veterinary services, which is suitably adapted to national constraints and priorities. Madam Speaker, Fiji's ratification of the Trade Facilitation Agreement and BEF's effort to modernize this legislation to ensure that Fiji's legislative framework is in compliance with international standards makes it easier for Fiji to trade with its international trading partners. There is also a modernized science-based approach to BEF, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, zoonotic diseases are diseases which transmit from animals to human beings. Hence, combating invasive alien species is very important not only to protect our flora and fauna, but potentially even the health of Fijians. The refusal of entry by BEF, Madam Speaker, displays the commitment of the Fijian government, of course, BEF, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker. Yeah, the question was actually whether Fiji has the capacity to screen this type of vessels. The answer is irrelevant.
The question was clear and the answer has been given by the Honourable Minister. Please continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, they ask a question and then when we actually explain it in detail, they don't like it. It demonstrates it demonstrates the capacity in government and government's agencies, and they don't like that because they always want to portray a negative image. But this is the facts. So I will elucidate further what's the capacity in BAF and what BAF is currently doing. You ask the question, you get the answer. But Speaker, the fact that BAF refused entry of this shows a commitment of the Fijian government to ensure that Fijians are protected from invasive pests. Madam Speaker, BAF on a daily basis deals with such matters. This is the one that actually made to the media. There are other entries that take place. They don't only come through ships, they come through other mechanisms too, other means too, through planes, and through also cargo that's sent across to Fiji. We have picked up so many gas. If you know what gas is giant African snails that does not exist in Fiji, but gets transported through other Pacific Island countries when they transship goods through Fiji. Biosecurity picks up on that. So the capacity is there, and indeed, if they care to know about it, Madam Speaker, if they look at the laws that have changed, if they look at the capacity of BAF, it has enormously changed significantly for the betterment of all Fijians. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.